Ty, thanks very much for delivering this session.
Cheers, JB.
I particularly liked the game-based approach that you had and your use of instruction and explanation, which is something we've been working on over the previous sessions. Could I ask you to reiterate the objectives for your session, please?
So for this session, you wanted me to look more at developing the observation and analysis, and also how I use questions when generating feedback from players.
Can you be a bit more specific about the observation and analysis? What in particular were you working on?
I was looking at, in the last session I didn't move around too well, so I couldn't see things from different angles.
Okay, so the movement?
Yeah, you wanted me to move around, it's necessary for me to move around and be able to then reflect against a template of good practice, and that'll help me see things that need improving in the players.
Wonderful, thank you for that. What about the types of questions you are going to be using?
I used too many closed questions on my last session, so you wanted me to try and introduce more open questions to get the players talking more and get the players self-reflecting.
Thank you. So let's look at this session itself now. As you reflect on that session, what went well?
I really liked the game because for the purpose of the session was to look at how players support from depth. So I liked the way that I used the drop-off touch game. I was able to get the deep support players arriving at the right time, which helped the ball carrier. So yeah, I thought the game aspect went really, really well.
How did you achieve that?
It was the planning. So I really had to think a lot more about the type of game to create the moment of play that the players need to learn from. So I really had to put some thought into the planning of the game for that session.
And your questioning was a key part of that as well, with the success of that session. So what was it about your questioning style that proved to be really successful?
I had a go at asking more open questions, so I sort of went more down the line of how could you change that, or what could you do to improve that, which the players came back with some good answers.
We also spoke about observation and analysis at the start, your movement, this idea of a template. What was so successful with those?
Well, when I took the players into the small technical area, I went into the 1+1 versus 1 moment of play. So the ball carrier with a deep support runner, and an opportunity to see how they can get around a defender. It was good because I was able to concentrate on just one or two key things in the player's technique. So was he moving the defender well enough for the deep support to find space? That was one of the things I concentrated on. And if he wasn't, I asked a question to sort of try and draw out from the player what he could do to open and create the space.
And I thought those interventions that you delivered were very timely and nice and concise as well, so well done there. Let's look at things you might improve within this session. What could they be?
I think I could still move around more. I still tend to get stuck in the mud on the side of the pitch, and perhaps allow myself to get a bit too involved, sort of collecting balls back and feeding the balls into the players. So I need to move around. I need to try and absorb what I'm seeing from many different angles. I was pleased with the questions I asked, but again, that's something that I still feel could be refined.
Okay, so what are you going to continue to develop in terms of your questioning style?
I think I need to develop a really, really good open question, a good opening to generate the feedback, but then be ready to sort of go a little bit further with a second and a third question, just to really reinforce the learning for the player.
So that secondary and tertiary question, that probing, is maybe something you might look towards?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Darren, earlier we saw your session. Anything you could take from Ty's session here to help you with your observation and analysis skills?
Yeah, I thought for me the questions that Ty used to help my learning with those key factors, drawing that information from me, was something that I'm definitely going to look to use in the next session that I do.
Okay, all right, Darren, thank you very much. So in summary then, Ty, we've looked at that game-paced approach, which we're really happy with. The part you thought was particularly successful in the way that you were able to intervene regularly, give some positive feedback through questioning. You also spoke about how you'd like to work a little bit more on your movement, as opposed to being rooted to one spot, maybe be less involved with picking up balls, etc. Making sure you're working on those different angles, and again, those secondary and tertiary questions. So going forward, what will your actions be?
So for the next session, I'm definitely going to work hard on going further with the questioning, but try and get the balance right between activity and intervention, so that I don't find myself talking too much. But I think a good key opening question, followed up with maybe a second and a third question, just to absolutely make sure that the players have understood.
Okay, wonderful. And what about positioning?
Positioning, definitely got to work hard on that. I'll probably put it into my planning for the next session of really taking that into consideration. So if I look at a game or a part, I'm going to put where I want to be at certain areas and probably make notes in my plan of what I want to look at, so that I stay focused on one or two key factors at a time.
Okay, and I think it's really positive the way with which you've looked at the what and the how there. So thank you very much for that. I've got those written down. We'll share those later. Thanks for being so reflective.
Cheers, JB. Thanks very
Cheers.
much.